the man with the unenviable task of taking on John Wayne Parr for the Australian middleweight boxing title. It's Andre Khamula. The tall, lanky Khamula, who recently went the distance with Pierre Karam, now steps in the centre ring to face John Wayne Parr in conventional boxing.
Red corner.
Oh, listen to the ovation. Listen to the Bon Jovi music. It can only mean one thing. About to make his way to the ring is the rib-cracking, career-ending, gun-slinging John Wayne Parr. He is undefeated in 7 professional boxing contests. Can he make it 8-0 here tonight? The cult hero of Queensland kickboxing and Muay Thai, turning his hand to pro boxing, John Wayne Parr. Hammer, listen to the music of Live and Let Die. That is the theme of this man, John Wayne Parr. He says never say die.
Well, I tell you what, Michael, Andre Khamula is also a fighter that never says die. We've seen Khamula in some epic battles, a fighter with a very decorated amateur career. He's not a fighter that lies down. He's not a fighter that takes victory or defeat lightly. He gets in there to rumble, and he's going to give Wayne Parr a real run for his money.
Let's go to Andy Raymond.
A conventional boxing contest awaits us. This one scheduled for 12 3-minute rounds, and it is for the vacant Australian middleweight title. Introducing first in this interstate clash, boxing out of the blue corner. Originally from the Ukraine, now based out of Sydney. This young man had a very extensive amateur career of over 260 fights. As a professional, has had 10 bouts for 7 wins, and 3 of those wins coming inside the distance. Weighing in at 72.05 kilograms, he is the number 3 ranked middleweight in the land, Andre Khamula. Standing across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, he hails from the Gold Coast on Queensland. He is the 6th ranked middleweight in the land and weighed in at 72.35 kilos. Some call him John Wayne. You can call him Mr. 100%. 7 fights, 7 wins, 7 knockouts. Ladies and gentlemen, the local hero, John Wayne Parr. When the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Brad Vicali. Your judges at ringside, Gary Lawrence, Derek Millam and Cyril Cairns.
Andre Wayne. Okay, gentlemen, now I've given you instructions in the dressing room. You both know the rules. It's 12 3-minute rounds for the Australian middleweight title. You must keep your punches up and you must protect yourselves at all time. When I tell you to break, you break cleanly and step back. If you've a knockdown, I want the fighter on his feet to go to the furthest neutral corner and you stay there till I tell you to come out. Protect yourselves at all time. Touch gloves. Go back to your corner and wait for the bell. Come on, touch gloves.
Well, look at the look of intensity on the face there of John Wayne Parr against the taller, lankier Andre Khamula. It's the 3rd ranked middleweight in the country against the man ranked number 7. And who will come out trumps? Also joining us ringside, the man in the bow tie, Andy Raymond. Andy, this is going to be a cracker.
It does promise to be a cracker. 2 men, very different styles. Khamula, a very awkward southpaw, and John Wayne Parr, perhaps one of the most explosive men in Australian boxing at present. Very compact. Statistically, these 2 guys couldn't be any further apart. The height and the reach advantage going to the Sydney-based boxer Khamula.
Not to mention a huge experience advantage in boxing. As you said earlier on, 260 or so amateur fights.
Very awkward customer that's quickly developing a reputation as a man to look out for in the middleweight division.
Well, we saw, obviously, Khamula in action against Pierre Karam for that world title shot.
That was the WBF Intercontinental title down in Melbourne, that's right.
Too many titles, too short a memory for me. But nevertheless, Khamula was well equipped there. He took that fight.
Well, he gave Pierre a huge run for his money.
He took it on short notice. But Andy, as Andy mentioned, with 260 amateur fights, he bases his style around racking up the points, and sometimes in the professional ranks, when you've got a big bombing fighter like Wayne Parr, that could be a little bit dangerous.
Khamula not a knockout artist, only 3 on his resume, whereas John Wayne Parr, as I mentioned in the introduction, 100%. Quite often on occasions like this, 2 guys, one a southpaw, one an orthodox stance boxer. It can get a little messy in the middle, front foot supremacy, tangling of feet, tangling of gloves. both men, they're here to fight. Very intense individuals.
I must say, though, Andy and Hammer, you can probably back me up on this one, that Wayne Parr would be very used to fighting southpaw fighters, in that most of the Thais that they fight, he's fought in Thailand, would be southpaw fighters, so he'd be used to that tangle of feet.
90% of Thai boxers are southpaws, that's for sure. Very rare to find orthodox Thai boxing stylists. And obviously with Wayne Parr living and training in Thailand for so long, fighting with knees and elbows, and we saw the devastating effect of an elbow fight previous. He's going to have sharpened skills when it comes to fighting southpaw. So Khamula's really going to have to be powering up a lot more than he is.
No telling blows, while both men are pretty keen to get the ball rolling as far as the physicality in centre ring is concerned. They're not afraid to throw the leather, and it promises to be a pretty entertaining 12-rounder.
Well, you saw Khamula there actually just throwing the jab as he almost walked away and turned his back on Wayne Parr. He wants to be very wary of that, because Parr has a lot of power for a fighter of his size.
The expression of these two fighters completely different as well. You can see Wayne Parr, one of the most expressive faces in boxing, and the Iceman really of Andre Khamula, an expressionless fighter, just peppers out the jab there on Wayne Parr. And Brad Vakali telling him to keep up the momentum and not to go down too low. Wayne Parr bobbing and weaving under the loping long hands of Andre Khamula.
Khamula and trainer Steve Della, based in Sydney, have been really working on the knockout punch, on the power punch of Khamula. As we mentioned earlier, he doesn't have a fantastic knockout record. Referee Brad Vakali is going to be a busy boy in this contest.
Oh, nice short right hand there from John Wayne Parr. Just stung him on the kisser. End of the first round of action. Hammer, how do you see it so far?
Well, I'd give that one pretty even. Khamula landed a couple of good shots, but Parr in turn also landed a couple of good shots. Getting a little bit low in his bobbing and weaving and staying down for probably too long. He wants to weave a bit quicker and throw something off the weave, perhaps, Parr. But nevertheless, a pretty even first up round. Just a feeling out process from both fighters, I believe.
Let's have a look at the replay and some of the telling blows from the opening round in this scheduled for 12. A lot of leather flying, not a lot connecting, mind you. Nothing telling. Both men really just feeling out. We've seen the Muay Thai exponents earlier in this afternoon's card really easing themselves into a match, and I guess this is the boxing equivalent very much.
Well, Wayne Parr, the golden rule when you fight a southpaw and you're orthodox is to use your right hand a lot. And in turn, Khamula too has got to keep throwing that rear left a lot more against orthodox fighter.
Third man in centre ring, Brad Vakali gets us underway in round number 2. John Wayne Parr, the shorter of the two, out of the red corner from the Boonchu gym against the Iceman, Andre Khamula. They've opened up this one here a little bit quicker than the first round, as the Hammer said, a real feeling out process.
If you're waiting for Khamula to show any emotion whatsoever, if he's going well or not going so well, you'll be waiting an ice age.
Forget about it, that's right. He's also got some heavy strapping on that right knee there, Hammer, that lead knee of his.
He always has his lead knee strapped fairly heavily, Khamula. I don't think I've seen him fight without that knee bandage.
Maybe an old amateur injury there, Andy?
From what I've been led to believe, an old amateur injury, but something that his trainers anyway claim is just as mental as it is physical. The knee isn't bad, but just that little bit of support really, playing games up with the mind of Andre Khamula.
Might be his lucky knee strap.
It could well be.
The Hammer used to have his lucky jock strap.
Yes, well, go no
never got washed either in 12 years of fighting.
And that's an issue we really don't want to go too far into.
And you're using it now as a hammock, Michael, but anyway.
Snappy left hand there from Andre Khamula. Just ties up John Wayne Parr. They tangle over against the ropes. Brad Vakali separates both men. 1 minute 5 down in this round, Andy.
A little nick opening on the above the right eye of John Wayne Parr, and he's sensed blood. And he's an intimidator, Parr. He'll let you know he's in there. He'll let you know you're in for a fight.
Well,
Andre, turn around, all right? Come on, Wayne, keep it tighter, come on.
Parr actually looking at one of the big screens within the auditorium here to check out the damage over the right eye.
Yes.
It's not too bad, and I'm quite sure Team Waterhouse and Briggs.
Too low. All right, Andre, it's 2 times now, okay? All right, get him up, box.
Quite sure they'll fix that cut come the end of round number 2. Andre Khamula, his second warning for venturing down towards the crown jewels from referee Brad Vakali, and Vakali, one of the more respected members of the Australian boxing community. He won't tolerate any nonsense from either of these two fighters.
Well, Brad is certainly a very proficient referee in centre ring there, and it's a gentleman in and out the ring. He loves the sport, and he has always taken an active interest in promoting it, obviously, up here on the Gold Coast in Queensland, that's for sure.
Solid body shots in this round so far from John Wayne Parr, though finding it a little bit awkward now with being much taller and Ganglia.
Come on, watch the heads.
Andre
Come on, watch the
Khamula
heads.
watching out for a head clash there. Khamula's got to be careful. He's got to go after that cut above the eye of John Wayne Parr, but not to open it up with an accidental headbutt. He doesn't want that to happen.
Khamula really moving well, quite often on the back foot, and again a nice straight left through the guard of John Wayne Parr. But Khamula moving well on the back foot, which is a sign of a class fighter.
Come on, keep it tight,
Sometimes
break.
Khamula tends to move when he really, in my opinion, doesn't need to. You're better to maybe let some technique go. He opens up an opportunity off that lead jab of his, and maybe lets some created opportunity move, because he's always circling off to his right.
Oh, Wayne Parr just takes one smack bang on the forehead off the left hand, that being the rear hand of Andre Khamula. End of the second round of action. Hammer, how do you see that one? A tough one there for Wayne Parr.
Well, Parr caught a cut there, but they're still visibly the more aggressive of the two, and racking up some good and tidy shots. But Khamula, as I said, I believe he's not throwing his rear hand enough as he should be. He wants to be using his left hand a lot more, whereas Wayne Parr's rolling in, especially at the start of the second round. Parr was definitely the aggressor and racked up some good solid points.
Brad Vicali just letting the three judges at ringside know exactly how John Wayne Parr suffered the cut. It was an accidental elbow from Andre Khamula, and Brad Vicali spotted it and left no questions asked, basically. Let's have a look at Khamula. John Wayne Parr searching a little low himself on that occasion, perhaps infuriating the guy who is now based out of Sydney, formerly of the Ukraine, and a lot of amateur experience behind him. We get set to head into round number 3, and that was the second of the low blows that referee Brad Vicali had to call Khamula aside for and have a bit of a chat.
Well, Brad Vicali, one of the best in the business, gets us underway in third stanza. Andre Khamula against John Wayne Parr. Khamula just peppering out that jab off the right hand, drops the left down to the bread basket.
Have a look at that. You'll see Khamula, as soon as Parr ducks down, Khamula puts his forearm over the back of the neck of Parr and just taxes him a little bit by leaning his body weight under and just issuing a bit of pain to the back of the head there of
He is a
Parr.
cagey veteran, Andre Khamula, Hammer.
Oh, he knows all
how to
the
punish
tricks.
a fighter.
He knows all the tricks, Michael. You can bet he's going to be using them all too against a very aggressive fighter in Wayne Parr.
The Australian middleweight title up for grabs in this 12-rounder. Both men at this stage struggling, I think, to find range on a consistent basis. The Southpaw versus the Orthodox.
The ANBF title, of course, the Australian one. It's one that both these boys won, and it is held in fairly high regard, the ANBF title.
Well, Andre Khamula showing exactly why he's ranked third in this division at the moment. John Wayne Parr ranked 7th. Parr just fires out a short right hand that tags Khamula on the chin, and Brad Vicali separates both men. We are 1 minute 5 down here in the third stanza, Andy.
Khamula finding range with that straight left, probably his best punch so far. Only in the early stages, mind you. And Khamula having a little bit of fun with Parr on that occasion. A few very mild rabbit punches to the back of the head after being warned on several occasions from referee Brad Vicali.
Khamula is an experienced fighter who will really push the referee to the limit as well, Hammer. He knows all the tricks, as we were saying, and he'll test Brad Vicali here.
Khamula will know how to use his shoulders, his forearms, his body weight to frustrate and confuse the opponent. You know, number one, he's a southpaw. That's always very awkward to get around for an orthodox fighter. And then on top of that, you've got all of Khamula's bag of tricks thrown in with that. And Wayne Parr's certainly going to have his work cut out for him.
Yourself, Andre. No elbow. Right?
Varying styles as you hear referee Brad Vicali. He'll be hoarse in the throat by the time this 12 round is finished. A good exchange centre ring, the two boys throwing at will. And Parr, the aggressor, dominating centre ring, sending Khamula around the perimeter yet again.
I would have thought I would have seen John Wayne Parr go for the body rips a lot more. He's tending to get tunnel vision a little bit and go for the head of Khamula. And 260 fights, Khamula's had a lot of headshots. He's boxed with the best of them, of course. But that right hand body shot could be something that Wayne Parr could employ. Roll in underneath and let the right hand go, and then perhaps let the wrist go off that.
Parr just getting under the way of the probing jab from Khamula, ties him up now in the centre of the ring, and Brad Vicali will separate both men. We're into the final 20 seconds of this round.
Don't hold, all right? Come on.
Again, Vicali just warning Andre Khamula not to hold on to the much shorter John Wayne Parr. Parr bouncing around on the ball with his feet. He's always been a dynamo of energy, John Wayne Parr. Sticks out that probing left hand, just finding his distance against the taller opponent. End of the third round. Hammer, how do you see it?
Well, that's pretty much an even round, that one. Very, very close. Nothing in this. Parr may be slightly ahead, but as I said, I'd like to see John Wayne Parr just let that big right hand go maybe to the solar plexus of Khamula a little bit more. He's a little bit shorter. He can roll a hip and get in there if he really has to. But Khamula does get very side on, I suppose. Easy for me to say, as I always do. Easy for me to say sitting here. Harder for Wayne Parr to do in centre ring against a very cagey Andre Khamula.
Let's have a look at some of the action from round 3. The very compact John Wayne Parr really should, for mine, be working a little more on the inside. Khamula definitely with the reach advantage and is quite happy to box from the outside. We've said on a couple of occasions varying styles and statistics. The very hard fight to score, I would imagine, our 3 ringside judges. Gary Lawrence, Derek Millam and Cyril Cairns, probably just as confused as we are at this point in time.
Well, for the boxing purists, I'd say they'd be leaning the way of Andre Khamula, just for the fact that they'd be probably looking at his record and his style, and maybe they'll pay a little bit of extra consideration for that. But they take nothing off the aggression of Wayne Parr. He's going to take it right up to Khamula.
Well, into round number 4 now, and Wayne Parr perhaps needs to settle a little bit and try and pick his shots a bit more on the big man, Andre Khamula. Just dropping the right hand down to the bread basket, then a short hook to the side of the head there from Wayne Parr. One downstairs from the left, the rear hand of Andre Khamula, then came upstairs. And Parr's
landing a few there.
Parr's guard is still a little bit open, Hammer, a la the old Muay Thai style.
I'll tell you what, if this fight does go the distance...
And Parr on the attack. John Wayne Parr on the attack. And caught Andre Khamula with a beautiful combination. It's just what we were saying. John Wayne Parr needs to be a little more selective.
Turn around. Come on, Lars, come on. Box.
That's almost a bit of emotion there from Khamula there, Andy.
A little bit of shock if you ask me. I tell you what, Andre Khamula got tagged by John Wayne Parr, and here comes the former world Muay Thai champion.
And tagged again by Parr on this occasion. The 4th round definitely going the way of the former kickboxing superstar who hails from these parts on the Gold Coast. John Wayne Parr just needs to be more selective, and he was on that occasion, and the rewards were there. He had Khamula on the back foot. John Wayne Parr, a very versatile fighter. He comes at you from many different angles. Was very good down low too, and if you can land a couple of those quality rips and body shots into Andre Khamula, the guard will drop, opening up that chin, and that's where John Wayne Parr has had so much success in his knockout record.
I'd have to say, Andy, I always love to see the kickboxers and Thai boxers hop in against the boxers and do well. And I'm willing Wayne Parr on to do well in centre ring here as well. But I've got a lot of respect for Andre Khamula. He's one of my favourite Southpaw boxers. He always puts up a strong showing, and he's got a lot of heart, and you've got to respect that as well.
We're into the final minute. It's the 4th round of action. John Wayne Parr against Andre Khamula. Parr moves in again. Khamula ties him up. Brad Vicali calling to both men to really work out of the tied-up situation, and he breaks them both. Wayne Parr moves in with the lead right hand on occasion, just throwing off Andre Khamula, Andy.
Man, listen, there's too much holding. It's becoming a very untidy fight. All right, Andre, you hold too much. You hold, people are going to penalise you. Wayne, you keep your head up, all right? We're here to fight. Now make a good fight, all right? Come on. All right, now box.
Who's going to argue with Brad Vicali, laying down the law to both men centre ring.
Give him a set of gloves, I'm saying.
And Brad Vicali really laying down the law, and Wayne Parr, that right hand just falling agonisingly short, and Khamula ties him up again. That time they worked out of the clinch. Here comes Wayne Parr with an overhand left hand, walks into a snappy left hand. Khamula's tagged him again. They're going hell for leather now. And Khamula just forces him back into the red corner. Wow. The best exchange of this round so far, Andy.
Certainly is, and both men perhaps shedding the nervous energy they would have wasted up in the lead up to this as the bell rings the end of round number 4.
Oh, look at the attitude there from John Wayne Parr. I love it, Andy.
There is plenty of attitude in John Wayne Parr. Rod Waterhouse in the corner with John Wayne Parr. A very busy night for the team from Boonchu. Let's take a look at some of the action from round number 4. Plenty of wrestling, plenty of grappling.
Khamula actually let a little bit of technique go in that one. He actually rolled off 4 or 5 punches in sequence, which he usually just racks up the points. There he goes there, but Wayne Parr matched it and went with him. Once again, Wayne Parr just balking a little to the right, slipping down, trying to throw a left off the balk again. But just his range a couple of inches off there, Wayne Parr. And if he steps up a little bit with that right hand, he's going to land him solidly.
We are moving into round 5 of 12 for the Australian middleweight title, arguably one of the most hotly contested divisions in Australian boxing. You look at some of the names: Darren Obar, the recently retired, Sam Solomon, Nader Hampton, Josh Clenshaw, Ian McLeod, Joel Burke. But to name a few, and these two men, Khamula and Parr, respectively ranked 3 and 7 in the land and going forward here at Jupiter's.
Well, Wayne Parr's opened up like a house on fire here in this round of action, tagging Khamula with a clever right hand. Khamula just smacks out that rear hand, being the left hand of the southpaw, and Parr just smiles at him, bobbing and weaving down low again. He's got to be careful. Maybe Khamula should be hunting for a looping uppercut hammer.
Well, Khamula's just working that lead hand. He's not. I haven't seen him throw a left yet. That was probably the first left of the round he just threw there. He probably threw 8 jabs off the lead, just probing as well.
Khamula really an accumulator, and that does come from the extensive amateur career. Not one of the great combination punchers, should I say, in the land at the moment.
I think he strings his maximum sort of combination rate might be about 4 punches in sequential order, obviously.
But he does make those punches count, hammer.
Right. Well, he does. He tries to find his distance off that lead jab, off that right jab, and then power up on the rear left hand. But he doesn't let the left hand go nearly enough, for my liking anyway.
Well, Wayne Parr just shaking his head there. He's not happy about something as blood trickles out of his nostrils. Finds out that right hand off the draw, and Khamula just tags him with a sticky jab.
Come on.
They tie up again. Brad Vicali says to work out of it, and he ends up breaking up both men. 1.5 minutes down here in the 5th round of action, Andy.
And again, a very difficult round to judge between these two men. Khamula looking down low, and there are some glaring weaknesses in the defence of Andre Khamula when he does start to experiment and he does start to throw combinations. The hands really drop as Parr ends up on the attack. Had Khamula in against the ropes, and I guess that's a little bit of inexperience on the part of Parr on that occasion. He had his opponent against the ropes. He was on the attack. Let Khamula turn out of it.
Once again, you see Khamula just leaning down on the body of Parr.
Don't push him down, all right? Box.
And that is a taxing technique. It's a wear-down technique. It does tire your opponent. As soon as you double over and you have weight on your back, what it does is it compresses your lungs a little, makes it harder for you to breathe. Even if it's only 3 or 4 seconds, it's like holding your breath basically for 4 seconds.
You're carrying your opponent's weight is what it comes down to.
Exactly. And that's a taxing technique for the fighter who's underneath, obviously.
Into the final 30 seconds now of this round. Wayne Parr just ties up Khamula, throws him off.
Wayne, don't push him, all right? Now, keep your cool.
Just warning him there, throwing off Andre Khamula after the clinch. Parr moves forward again, sticks with a clever left hand. Here comes John Wayne Parr and the large crowd rallying behind the local boy now. Overhand left there from Wayne Parr, then goes down to the ribs. Drives the left hand into the breadbasket of Andre Khamula. Throws him on the forehead with a straight left hand, Andy.
Very much the emotional fighter is John Wayne Parr,
Keep your cool, Wayne. Keep your cool.
Well,
exactly the
really
point, as Brad Vicali was saying, keep your cool. He's an emotional fighter. He's a very intense human being inside and outside of the ring, and the more he gets annoyed, we can't swear on Fox Sports, the more he gets annoyed with his opponent, the more he gets annoyed with the tactics he's employing, the better off John Wayne Parr is going to be.
I'll tell you what, Andy, in any fight game, the more emotion comes into it, and this is what the Thais are renowned for, they never show emotion. The more emotion comes into a fight, the less technique comes to play. You know, as soon as you start to get aggressive and have too much emotion, you just forget your game plan. You know, you really need to cool down.
Come on, keep your cool, Wayne, all right? Just don't get too excited, Wayne. You're well, mate.
Seems to be the general theme from the red corner. Keep your cool, coming from trainers and referees alike. Brad Vicali doing the rounds here at Jupiter's Casino and really laying down the law to these two guys. But at this point in time, it doesn't seem like the guys really are paying that much attention to what Vicali has to say. A scrappy fight.
Well, it is, as you stated earlier, Andy, a real contrast of styles, and you know, it can get a little untidy, I suppose. If they were both amateur fighters, it would be that point-for-point game, but here you've got a knockout fighter against a point fighter.
Wayne Parr again charging forward on Andre Khamula. Once more needs to take a step back, perhaps Wayne Parr. Keep his cool and pick his shots a little better. He's firing out the left and right hands wildly, and they're missing Andre Khamula, and they're spending a lot of Wayne Parr's energy here in this round.
And if this is going to go the 12 rounds,
he's going to need every ounce of energy.
You're exactly right, Michael Chavello.
I'll tell you what, and if it does...
And a nice straight right there from Khamula caught the attention of Parr.
Best punch of the fight so far there from Andre Khamula. Khamula does pick his shots here, Hammer.
Well, he picks his shots maybe a little too selectively. As I said, I'd like to see him, if he lets that right hand go, he might have a little bit more luck. He's just got to employ it a little more, I feel.
John Wayne Parr, smile on the face, seemingly enjoying. I'm not quite sure he's enjoying the repetition of the left hand that Andre Khamula is throwing and finding the mark on many occasions.
The elbow again there, Andy, coming in from Andre Khamula in close, the accidental elbow.
It is a war we've got on our hands here for middleweight honours in Australia. Two young men on the edge of a dream.
I've also noticed, Hammer, that Andre Khamula, the very side-on fighter, and more a front-on fighter, John Wayne Parr.
It's the more side-on he gets, the harder it's going to be for Parr to land that straight right body shot.
Very low, or very small, should I say, target area on Andre Khamula.
Exactly, and he's always circling off to his right as well, so he's continually moving the target area, which is, clever tactics, of course. Hard to hit the target when it keeps moving.
1 minute 40 down here in this round of action. Both men have slowed down markedly in this round. Straight right hand just fell short of the jaw there from John Wayne Parr. Parr bobbing and weaving down low, nothing coming from Khamula, then tags him with the straight left. Good right hand smack down on the kisser there from John Wayne Parr, bouncing around the balls of his feet now.
Well, Wayne Parr's exhibiting great bobbing and weaving skills. He is weaving quite low. His timing's all right, but he's off that weave. He's down there low anyway. He wants to maybe try an inside body rip. You see Khamula sticking his right hand out. That exposes his right rib cage. When Parr bobs off to his left, he could possibly throw a left body rip under that extended arm of Khamula.
John Wayne Parr, on such a big occasion, for mine anyway, is physically struggling, an extremely fit human being, but he looks absolutely exhausted mentally and physically out there at the moment. We're only halfway there. Combination punching from Khamula, finding the mark.
I think it's more exasperation, Andy. I think he's just getting frustrated by Khamula. And that is something that I suppose a lot of his opponents have faced with him in the past.
Andy, you were saying earlier on how John Wayne Parr bases a lot of his fight game on intimidation. Could one of the problems be that he has not managed to intimidate Andre Khamula at all, like his past opponents?
We have seen that with John Wayne Parr on many occasions where, yes, he does intimidate his opponents. That's half the battle.
I mean, when he won his world kickboxing title last year against Scott Bannon, it was based on an intimidation campaign, a fear campaign, both inside and outside the ring. But it doesn't seem to have any effect so far on Andre Khamula.
It hasn't had effect on Khamula, who, as far as this contest goes, is the wily veteran.
You see Khamula just setting Parr there with that lead hand and then bringing the rear hand in quickly after it. That's going to frustrate Parr. He's having a lot of trouble getting around those long arms of Khamula, especially that lead arm that's continually out there in Parr's face.
You're exactly right.
See Khamula just stepping through the rear elbow there, just in tight. And that's one of his tricks. He brings a rear elbow through and just puts it on your forehead and pushes you back off him.
There's been plenty of elbows and plenty of do-si-doing as far as the feet goes. The southpaw versus the orthodox fighter.
Into round number 7 now. Andy, could this be the first time in his boxing career that Wayne Parr has gone 7 rounds?
It could very well be, Michael Chavello.
We might just have to have a look back through the stats on that one, but this might be the very first time that Wayne Parr's gone this far in a boxing contest, Andy.
Heading into foreign territory, he has been 6 rounds once. That was with Brandon Wood, Tweed Heads. He went 5 or 6 rounds from memory over the highly rated Bradley Mayo earlier this year. In fact, that was his last fight, March 16 at the Coogee RSL. So twice he's been 6 rounds.
First time into round number 7, and Brad Vicali just giving a warning there to Khamula not to wrestle John Wayne Parr. Khamula continues to probe away with that awkward right jab of his, and Parr just can't seem to get by it at the moment.
I'll tell you what, if this one goes the distance, Khamula's going to have a real good chance of taking it out, because he's just racking up the points off the lead, and he's starting to employ his rear hand a little more now too.
And Khamula will go the distance. Don't be fooled about that. John Wayne Parr, from the naked eye, probably looks...
Cut the tricks. We're here to fight. Right, I know you're frustrated, and I know it's hard, right? We're here to fight. Get the elbow, forget the shit, get in there and fight and beat this bloke, right? Now you...
Well, the man that tells
don't hold
him,
don't hold him down, forget this, all right? Because I've had enough. You're testing my patience, all right? We're here to fight this Australian title fight. I want you to fight like champions should fight. Right, now come on, the box.
Oh, Brad Vicali.
There you go.
No nonsense at all from Brad Vicali, telling John Wayne Parr he didn't appreciate the cheeky back elbow after the clinch. Wayne Parr just smiling and moving in again, and also warning Khamula not to hold on to John Wayne Parr.
I think Vicali had a very valid point when speaking to both guys, and a nice right hand there by Parr. But Vicali really, he knew what he was talking about. He hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of A lot of theatrics with John Wayne Parr when inside the ring. And a nice left hand there by Khamula, who really is leaning, and pushing and pressuring and frustrating his opponent. And obviously the referee. It's been a sloppy fight from round number 1, a very physically taxing fight as well.
Hammer the theatrics, as Andy said, on John Wayne Parr, maybe getting a little bit desperate to try and find some sort of opening on Khamula.
Well, Wayne Parr likes to employ a little bit of psychological warfare, I suppose, in centre ring, and try and phase his opponents by doing, the odd things that the normal fighter, I suppose, doesn't even think about doing because, they got their hands full fighting. But Parr he's been in the ring more than enough times, and he's very comfortable in centre ring, and that's when you become comfortable, is when you can start to employ the different theatrics and do the psychological game playing that Parr employs. Khamula is not really being phased by it, and he continues to do the lean down, use the forearm. Khamula hooking up, as we see now on screen, and just he's basically frustrating Parr, and Parr's really got to use some new technical techniques to put some points on the scoreboard for himself.
Final seconds of the round. And a difficult round again to score, as have the previous 6. And John Wayne Parr on the attack again. Perhaps it was inexperience, but he allowed Khamula around of there.
Well, theatrics do not win you an Australian title, I suppose.
They do not. Mark Castellini, exactly right.
But
in the kickboxing world, a man that has been there and done it and held national honours. Conventional boxing at Jupiter's at the moment, and it promised to be an awkward fight, gentlemen. It promised to be an awkward fight to look at, an awkward fight to score, and it has lived up to its reputation. It's been a strange one.
This is definitely Wayne Parr's greatest test to date in the boxing ring. Khamula is really a frustrating opponent. He's always got that lead hand in your face. He makes it real difficult for you to get in and work his body. And, Wayne Parr, here we see that little, there you go, have a little bit of elbow. And Khamula's like, oh, come on, none of that, don't worry about it. Didn't even faze him. And it sort of annoyed Brad Bacali more than anything else. But Wayne Parr, there's a bit of a raw aggression. You can see it on his face as he stalked forward on Khamula, but he just didn't have the range to land the strikes. And
the look on John Wayne Parr's face was one of, referee, what have I done? I'm innocent on all charges. We're back underway. And again, John Wayne Parr coming out, all guns blazing, to pardon the pun. Trying to dominate centre ring, but finding it hard against Khamula with a distinct height and reach advantage. Parr really needs to get inside. He needs to work on the inside. He needs to fight smart if he's going to take the national title back to the Boon Chu gym. Brad Bacali is giving both of these guys ample opportunity to fight and box out of clinches. John Wayne Parr, for mine's not taking the opportunities as he should. In saying that, a little more selective with his punches on this occasion, and finding the mark a few times right on the button of Khamula.
Well, Wayne Parr seemed to unleash his biggest salvo on that occasion, the big thumping right hand, planting on the jaw of Khamula, and Khamula just stood there unfazed. Now who's playing the psychological warfare against each other? Scratches flying off the brow of John Wayne Parr, Hammer, as Khamula ties him up again.
Well, it's a continual lead hand forearm of Khamula that's obstructing Wayne Parr's view and really making his job difficult to get in.
A lovely short left hand there from Khamula, found the mark on Parr, but really didn't miss a stride, did the Queenslander. Brad Bacali giving Khamula yet another running warning about holding down. He said this will be the last time, because next time you deducted a point.
They're still landing those punches. They may not have a lot of conviction behind them, Michael and Andy, but I tell you what, they're still putting a point on the board. That's the game plan of Khamula, and it always is the same old game plan.
I'll tell you what, Wayne Parr just can't get past that peppering jab of Andre Khamula. Parr moves in again, and Khamula, as has been the recipe all fight so far, simply ties up the shorter fighter. We're now 1 minute 30 down here in the 8th round of action. The Australian title is on the line. They've really got something to fight for here.
And about worthy of an Australian title, both men giving their all. As Brad Bacali said to both men a couple of rounds ago, act like champions. Respect the belt that you're fighting for. And since that verbal warning, both men really have.
Come on, punch out of it. Come on, work out of it.
The game a lot, haven't they?
Punch out of it. Come
They
on.
certainly haven't. You can hear Brad Vicali again.
A little bit of a headbutting close there from Andre Khamula. Brad Vicali separates both men. 2 minutes 5 down in the 8th round.
Again, Vicali encouraging these two guys to break out and to fight out of the clinches, but John Wayne Parr not doing that on this occasion.
Cammy, you've got to like the style of Brad Vicali as a referee, don't you?
No more, Andre.
Well, if it's a point off, that could very much sway this fight one way or the other. There's not a lot in it. Khamula racking up the points constantly, peppering out that lead hand. Parr showing more aggression of the two.
The closeness of the contest, I don't think either corner man would appreciate the loss of 1 point, and they'd be begging their fighters to adhere to the rules, because 1 point could really make a difference in a very difficult fight.
Well, it's not a point that either fighter can afford to lose. I'd like to see Wayne, as I said, work the body a little bit more. He's sort of going head hunting, but Khamula likewise is only just peppering out that lead hand. Have a point, have a point, have a point. That's Andre Khamula's game plan, and then he'll employ the rear hand at will. But he's just confounding Wayne Parr's attacks.
Let's have a look at the replay from round number 8. John Wayne Parr perhaps a little more selective, as we suggested earlier on in the fight, and finding his mark on more occasions, but he really hasn't been able to hit Khamula with anything that has made the Sydney-based fighter sit up and say, I'm in some strife.
Well, as soon as Khamula gets under pressure, he starts to bring his forearms up high and put them across the face of Parr, and that makes Parr's job all more harder to get in and try and work.
It mightn't be totally legal, Mark, but it's effective and it's working.
Well, that's exactly right, Andy, and as we said, 260 fights. We've got to put those little confounding techniques into play, that's for sure.
Round number 9 here at the Jupiter's Casino on the beautiful Gold Coast.
Come on, work out of it.
A full house in attendance for, as we said in the introduction, the most unique mix of boxing and kickboxing ever seen in the land.
Well, round number 9, and you must take into consideration John Wayne Parr in his Muay Thai career, and they're going hell for leather in the centre of the ring. Parr just lodging the straight left hand, and Khamula again tying up John Wayne Parr.
Andre, don't turn.
But in Muay Thai, Wayne Parr going 5-3s, 15 minutes. He's already been fighting almost 27 minutes here against Andre Khamula. So this is uncharted waters for John Wayne Parr.
And he's controlling his temper well, and really controlling himself well, because he is in foreign territory, and there is nothing like one-on-one sport to really test a man's character. And John Wayne Parr, whether he is ahead on the judges' scorecard or not, he is passing the test of character tonight. Let's listen to Brad Vicali.
1 point, hold it. 1 point, hold it. 1 point, hold it. Andre, it's no more now. Come on, you hold too much.
And an official 1 point deduction, hammer for holding on Andre Khamula. That's not going to help his cause at all.
No, it's not, and it's something that he gets penalised every now and again, Andre Khamula, and it's something that he can ill afford to do in such a close fight.
Does this mean that the Iceman, Andre Khamula, needs to go for the knockout now, hammer?
I don't think you'll ever see Andre Khamula go for a knockout.
Get it up.
But he probably does need to at least get a knockdown.
With his one-punch combinations, Khamula very committed to the fight, not committed to the combination punching, but his style has worked for him on 7 previous occasions out of 10 professional fights.
Forearm across the face there from John Wayne Parr. Brad Vicali just warning him about the crossing elbow. Sticky jab again there from Andre Khamula. Then wears a right hand to the side of the head. This is better stuff from John Wayne Parr, and the crowd are rallying behind the local boy now.
A nice straight right from John Wayne Parr, right to the breadbasket there. Let Khamula know that Parr has got that power and hasn't lost that power, despite the fact he has no experience in these latter rounds.
Come on, you get your head up.
Parr was down low on that occasion, hammer, and Khamula tagged him with a nice left hand.
As I said, Parr weaves well. He's certainly, his bobbing and weaving skills are very been honed well. I'd like to see him perhaps be a bit aggressive off the weave, though. I think he'll certainly catch a couple of points up if he does that. So as he bobs and weaves, weave off to your right, boom, let the lead left go, etc., etc. But his evasion skills are good. He just needs to rack up some points off him. Oh, nicely timed uppercut there.
Stinging uppercut there from John Wayne Parr. And Andre Khamula took one a little bit south of the border in that exchange.
A little bit south.
Wow, he might be auditioning for the Ukrainian boys choir after that one, hammer.
Any more south, we're in Tasmania.
Wow.
All right, take your time.
John Wayne Parr caught him in the old John Smalls, and now a little bit of a break there from Andre Khamula.
John Smalls in your case.
All right. Fox, get him up, Wayne, all right? Good boy,
John Wayne Parr, genuinely sorry it seemed on that occasion.
Into the final seconds now of this round. It has been an action-packed one. Here comes John Wayne Parr storming forward again. Tags him with a looping right hook. Wayne Parr the overhand left. Khamula just ties him up, tries to tie him up, but Wayne Parr keeps fighting.
Well, here comes Wayne Parr. This is much better now from John Wayne Parr.
And the crowd rallying behind him, Andy Raymond.
Could that be the round that changes the face of the fight? 1 point off for Khamula. For my money, we could have very well had our first 10-8 rounds.
That was a 10-8. That was definitely a 10-8 round there, Andy, going the way of John Wayne Parr. So that's going to boost his scorecard no end. And I'll tell you what, that could be the telling one if this one progresses down to the distance.
Talking about going the distance and John Wayne Parr's lack of experience in the latter rounds. Andre Khamula's last up start. Oh, you can see the eyes water.
I know.
And I hope that was his Adam's apple in his throat. If not, he was in some serious trouble.
I tell you, my eyes are watering just watching that one. Jeebus. So here comes Wayne Parr, stalking forward continually.
And in the final seconds of the round, it was all John Wayne Parr. Perhaps convincing the judges he'd done enough to secure 10-8 for the round. This is round number 10. Khamula on his last fight, which was March this year, went the 12 rounds, lost on a split decision to Pierre Carême. That was for
the WBF Intercontinental title back in March, Andy. John Wayne Parr was tying up Khamula on that occasion.
There's a change of setup with Khamula.
Oh, the towel's been thrown in. Well, the towel's been thrown in by Khamula's corner. And John Wayne Parr is the new Australian champion. He is elated. Wow, this is some controversy indeed. Hammer, the towel has been thrown in.
The towel was thrown in by Khamula's corner.
What do you make of that, Hammer?
Well, I don't make a lot of it at all, really.
It's a trifecta from Waterhouse.
You can't.
Well, I can't wait to hear the official verdict and
that.
maybe an interview with the corner of Khamula, but John Wayne Parr is the new Australian champion.
Well, John Wayne Parr, Australian title for him, and that ninth round was a corker for John Wayne Parr, and let's see him progress on from there. He really started to show some really good, good boxing skills in that last round.
Hammer, if I can just point out an injury to the right hand of Andre Khamula. They are in the corner of Andre Khamula at the moment, and he might have damaged his knuckles or the cartilage on his right hand that might have made it impossible for him to throw that beautiful lead jab he'd been throwing all throughout the fight.
Well, it's something only the corner know, and I'd like to know why they threw the towel on that one, but Khamula in that last round, well, the round just before the stoppage, was certainly overwhelmed by Parr, and Parr really started to find his range, working close. That uppercut was a corker. That was a beauty.
Well, I'm sure it's either the left or right hand of Khamula there, Hammer. We'll go to the interview perhaps with Andy Raymond, with the cornerman of Andre Khamula, and also the new champion, John Wayne Parr.
Ladies and gentlemen, during round number 10, the blue corner says enough is enough. Your winner and new Australian middleweight champion, John Wayne Parr! John Wayne Parr, national boxing gold, and you did it the hard way, mate.
Sorry everybody, that was like not the most prettiest fight. It was the worst in here, tell me, trust me, that was hard. I'd like to thank Rod Waterhouse, I'd like to thank Craig and Brian, I'd like to thank Simon, my pad holder, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Richard Bell, Jim Loftus, Stu from Concord Park Transport. I'd like to thank my dad from Haverspell Horse Spelling Establishment. I'd also like to thank Susie and Carrie Ann for the best massages on the coast. I'd just like to thank all the Gold Coast crowd for coming in and supporting the boys. And go Boonchu.
John Wayne Parr, the new Australian middleweight champion.